Iburu, Iboya, Ibuche, everybody in Cyberland. It's your favorite Bawalao. At least I hope so. Omodun, Odileke, coming at you with another sequel to the Help Me, Help You. Hey, but before we go any further, a couple of things I want to lay out. Hey, remember as I do these videos to help people out and give them kind of the icing on the cake, you got to always remember that you all have a Godfather that you need to refer back to in order to get maybe some of these obras, some of these ebos that I mentioned, because I'm not the end-all be-all. There's more to a mano de Otura than the one printable sign and then matching it up with your guardian. There's a little bit more to it that the person that pulled your ita, your Godfather, that's going to have some more insight and is going to be able to take care of you. Again, be patient. So a lot of people shoot me things and a lot of people either want more information or we're not posting fast enough, and that's not the intent. All right, so this faith is driven by patience, people. Patience. We're going to get you the videos as we get them to you. We're going to give you the information as we give them for you. And you can always ask questions later on after the fact. There's comments, there's emails, and we pass that out to you purposely so we can make sure that we close the loop on everything. All right, is that fair? All right, so without further ado, let's talk about our next one here. And this one is Olokun. Otura with Olokun. So, a couple of things about Olokun. One, Olokun is one of the more complicated signs in Ifa. And rightfully so. Because when we talk about Olokun, we talk about Mafarafun, right? And Moyumba, Olofin. And when we talk about Otura, we got to remember that it was Olofi that was mandated to send out one of the rafts of God. And one of the rafts of God that we talk about, and is pretty known, is Babaluaye. So inside Otura, we gotta give respect to Mafarafun Babaluaye. All right. With that said, because Babaluaye is such a powerful force in here, Olbetuas have to be very careful with like aneurysms, problems with the brain, okay, blood disease, all right, of one sort or another. It was because of this is why you see a lot of bawalaos and you see a lot of people doing ceremonies wearing white hats. It's because of this sign. And not just this sign, but because Olofin has a very strong influence in this sign. Otura, at the end of the day, has such is influenced so much by Olofin that even the sons of Otura at a certain point have to give homage, and Bawalaos, even with this Odun, have to get Olofin. And those are things that are worked out with the Godfather. Now, for Mano de Orula, what does that mean? That means that if you're that close to grace, does not mean that the journey is easy. That means the journey is harder. All right, so that's something that needs to be understood. So what does that mean to you? Is that you need to prepare yourself for your next step in the journey. You're not done, my friend. You're nowhere close. You should be starting to look at a little further down the line whether or not you're gonna need to get crowned or not. All right, that's a question that you and your Godfather need to have, but you need to get crowned. And more, you're Olokun. Okay? Who is Olokun? Olokun is one of the eldest, if not, and we say this with respect to Obatala, Olokun is one of the eldest of the Orishas. Olokun was one of the creators or inhabitors, when we talk about divinities, of the earth. Olokun has a force and an energy that drives this earth no different than Olofin is driving the earth and all the elders and all the Ilis. So, what does that mean? That means Olbe Otura. Not to be cliche, but hey, with great power comes great responsibilities. It is what it is. You need to start organizing yourself a lot faster than anybody else. Please understand that, and let's make it known. Olbe Otura, get your stuff together. Fair? Fair. Now, when we talk about Olbe Otura, we also got to give respect or respect is given. And we got to understand Chango. Mafarafun Chango. Why? Because in this sign, this is where one of Chango's paths on where he inhabited the earth in a different land. And because he inhabited the earth, there is a what's that fruit called? Mame. Mame. How you say that? Mame? Mame. The red mames. Alright, you don't know what it is, go to your godfather, ask your godfather. But I'm gonna tell you right now, you stay away from that like the plague. Because that is your saving grace. That is think about that as a fruit that's break in case of an emergency. You break it open, and you know why? Because that belongs to Chango. And Chango is gonna be the one that's gonna save you from the big problems. The big problems, all right? When it's time to really clean you out really good because you're going through it. All right? Does that make sense? Okay, so that's one. The other big thing. In this sign, Olbe Otura, and because of the influence of Olokun, there's ceremonies and there's aspects of ceremonies and patakis that need to be honored. One, the shadow, your shadow, okay? The shadow of any priest and their god kids. This is the reason why in Olbe Otura, if you haven't been told, you have to make sure that your relationship with your godfather, your biological father, your stepfather, whoever, all the fathers, okay? You need to have that airtight, okay? Because that's where the downfall occurs. Because in Olbe Otura, there's a lot of patakis that talk about the king that falls because of the lack of respect of the hierarchy. The lack of respect for the elders. But more importantly, the father figures. Olbe Otura, pay attention. Okay, that this is something that can really hurt you at the end of the day. The other big thing that I want you to start to understand is that you should be praying. Okay, at least let's say every day. Every day at 6 o'clock in the evening, you should start giving thanks to Olokun, who's your head, and to all the Ochas. Because Mafarafun Ocha, Olbe Otura, Olofin, Olokun, Chango, all the Ochas, you have an army of energy that you can harness, but you gotta do it methodically and you gotta be dedicated. Olbe Otura is one that I say, if anything, has to work the religion. You gotta work the faith. If that's gonna be the bread and butter, it's gonna be the bread and butter. If you're gonna burn yourself in both ends, meaning that you got a full-time job and then you're doing the spirituality, kind of close to what I do myself, but you gotta do it. You gotta do it because that's what Olbe Otura is designed for, to learn it all. Olbe Otura is so strong that at the end of the day, if that sign came out, all right, I'm gonna give you a little bit, okay? If this sign came out in a tutu ceremony, okay? Everybody in that room needs to prepare themselves because somebody else is going to. That's how powerful it is. Doesn't matter who's in that room. Another tutu ceremony is coming for somebody in that room. Olbe Otura has a lot of influence. So food for thought. I can talk about Olbe Otura all day. But here's what I'm gonna leave you with. Be respectful to your elders. Stay together with them. Don't eat the red mame. Okay. Make sure at the end of the day that you have respect for yourself, or okay, when you're not feeling well and you got issues with the blood and stuff like that, you need to tackle that. You need to be on top of that. If you're really feeling bad one day, you need to talk to your Godfather on what you need to do. Start honoring the Ochas, not just one day a week. I attend my warriors, I'm good. No. Every day at 6 o'clock, at least look out your window and say Moyumba Olodumare Moyumba Ocha. And don't ever forget about the Eguns or Moyumba Eguns. Just say those 3 things. Look to the sky. The sun is setting, whatever. 6 o'clock, that's your time. Do your thing, okay? And then remember humanity. Because you are different. But why are you different? Why do you have one of the signs of the 256? And what does that sign mean to you? Okay? Understand that in this sign, here's where Olodumare started to separate things. Okay? The sand and the mud. At one point in time, it was united. But in order to organize the earth, it needed to be separated. Ogbe Otura needs to do the same thing. Start to have a separation of powers, of different things. Understanding where they are and humble yourself. Take care of yourself, but humble yourself. It's super, super, super important, okay? And then finally, you got to remember that in this sign, when Babalu Aye was sent down, right, as a raft, right, disease and plague, it was because of the sins of humanity, right? It was the unethical and the unmoral aspects of humanity. So, Ogbe Otura, if there's one thing I can leave to you, have high ethical and moral values. Don't be a bad person. You don't have that luxury. It will come back for you. And it will come back for you in many different ways, because like I told you before, I mentioned Olofi, your head is Olokun, okay? I can't even begin to fathom the oldest of the Orishas, practically, okay? The one who's driving the energy, the one who has all the secrets. Let's just call it what it is. Olokun has all the secrets, all right? You have a bigger responsibility than most. So take that with a grain of salt. With that said, I'm gonna leave it there, and put more white on. Put more white on your head. If you don't wear hats, wear hats. Wear white hats, okay? But anyway, I'll leave it there. We're already at 12 minutes and moving to 13, and I don't like talking too much more. Go see your Godfather, get a better breakdown, understand this a little better, because you got a lot of things to fill there. All right. With that said, Iburu Iboya Bucheche. All right. Give me a like. Give me a comment. Give me a share. All right. La Regla de Ifa at gmail.com. La da regla da de da ifa at gmail.com. All right. We're tuning out. For my wife and I, always blessings. Iburu Boya Bucheche. Acheo.